Hello everyone. So welcome. Let's solve this question. And it says that identify the correct statement about this nickel complex NiH2O whole 6 2 plus and the copper complex CuH2O whole 6 2 plus. Okay, let's see what are these statements. So statement A says all NiO-CuO bond lengths of individual species are equal. Statement B says NiO equatorial and CuO equatorial. Statement C says all NiO bond lengths are equal, whereas CuO equatorial bond lengths are shorter than CuO axial bonds. Statement D says all CuO bond lengths are equal, whereas NiO equatorial bonds are shorter than NiO axial bonds. Okay, so this question is based on Jahn-Teller distortion because we are being asked about the metal ligand bond. So we know that in octahedral complexes, you can see here we have 6 ligands in each case, nickel and copper complex. We have 6 aqua ligands. That means it is having octahedral geometry. Okay, so in octahedral geometry, we know how this ligands are oriented. So we have these 4 ligands on the equatorial position and 2 ligands top and bottom on the axial position like this. Okay, so this is the typical octahedral structure. And when you see a question which says that some equatorial bonds are different in length from the axial bonds, that means this question is based on the distortion from octahedral to tetragonal. Okay, and this distortion happens when there is Jahn-Teller effect. So since we have options which say that there is a difference in the bond length between metals and ligand in the axial and equatorial positions, okay, so that is the reason we predict that this question is based on the Jahn-Teller distortion or Jahn-Teller effect. Okay, now for that we have to first check out what is the electronic configuration of the central metal ion in these two complexes. Okay, so we have nickel here, which is 3d8 4s2 in the ground state, and in this complex nickel is +2 oxidized. So in the +2 oxidation state we have 3d8 electrons in nickel. Okay, and also the ligand is a weak field ligand. So here we have both have aqua ligands, which is a weak field ligand, and we all know that when there is a weak field ligand, then the complexes are high spin complexes and there is no pairing. Okay, so now when we fill the 8 electrons, try to fill it, then how we accommodate? We have to first fill it singly according to Hund's rule, 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. Okay, so we have D8 configuration in the nickel complex and we have filled the electrons like this. Now can you see any asymmetric occupation of the T2G or EG orbital? So when there is Jahn-Teller distortion, the electrons should be filled unsymmetrically in either T2G or EG orbitals. So is there any unsymmetrical filling of electrons in these two orbitals? No, we have 3 orbitals. We have 6 electrons in T2G. So this is symmetrical filling. Okay. Then what about EG? EG is also symmetrically filled because we have 2 orbitals and 2 electrons symmetrically occupied. Okay, so there is no unsymmetrical distribution of d electrons, and that is why there is no possibility of Jahn-Teller distortion for this nickel complex. Okay, and when there is no Jahn-Teller distortion in a particular complex, then it acquires the ideal octahedral geometry where all the metal ligand bonds are equal. Okay, there is no difference between the metal ligand bonds. So axial, equatorial, all the ML bonds are equal. Okay, so for the nickel complex we have the NiO bonds are equal. Okay, NiO means the metal ligand bonds. Okay, nickel and water. Okay, now coming to the second complex. Second complex, what we have? We have a copper complex which is +2 oxidized. So in the ground state, copper has 3d10 4s1, and in the +2 oxidation state, copper has 3d9. So the D9 configuration, we already know that it shows Jahn-Teller distortion. So in whatever conditions we try to fill these 9 electrons, in the T2G and EG orbitals. So we have a situation where the EG orbital is unsymmetrically filled. How? You can see this. Okay. So singly it is occupied first, weak field ligand, then 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay. So we see here that the EG orbital is unsymmetrically occupied because we have 2 orbitals and 3 electrons. Now because of this unsymmetrical occupation, and that too in the high energy EG orbitals, we have a very significant Jahn-Teller distortion in the D9 configuration. And under ideal condition, when we have a Jahn-Teller distortion, then mostly what happens, the ligand, the axial ligands, that is the ligand along this axis, are placed far away from the metal ion, the central metal ion. That means this the axial bonds are elongated, while the equatorial bonds, they remain as the same bond length. Okay, so that means the axial bonds are elongated while the equatorial bonds are of the same bond length. That means axial will be longer than the equatorial. So for the complex, this copper complex showing Jahn-Teller distortion, the ligands on the axial axis, they are moved far apart from the central metal ion, and that is why the ML bonds, the metal ligand bonds on the axial axis, those bonds are elongated, and this is the reason why option, so which option should be the correct option for this question? So option C, which says all NiO bond lengths are equal, whereas CuO equatorial bonds are shorter than CuO axial bonds. So I hope you understood why these axial bonds are longer than the equatorial, because the ligands along the axial axis, that is the axial ligands, are moved far apart from the central metal ion. That is why axial ML bonds are longer while equatorial bonds are shorter than the axial bonds in case of copper complex, which shows Jahn-Teller distortion. While nickel, this nickel complex does not show any Jahn-Teller distortion, and all the metal ligand bonds are of equal length. Okay, so that is the reason why option C is the correct answer for this question. So before I end this session, I want you to know that the D8 and D9 configurations in octahedral complexes are two special configurations. Why? Because the D8 configuration, irrespective of the strength of the ligands, whether the ligands are the weak field ligands or the strong field ligands, that means whether the complexes are high spin or low spin, the D8 configuration is such that there is no Jahn-Teller distortion observed for D8 configuration in octahedral complexes. And why is that? So let us see that how the 8 electrons are filled in the high spin configuration. Okay, so high spin means, we already know that high spin means the initial pairing is not there. So the electrons occupy the T2G and EG orbitals singly. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, single occupation, and then pairing will start from T2G onwards. So after 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so the configuration becomes T2G6 and EG2. Now this is the situation in high spin. Now what happens in low spin? In low spin, we know that the pairing should occur. So the pairing will start from T2G itself. So 1, 2, 3, then pairing starts here, 4, 5, 6 and then 7 and 8 in the EG orbital. Now if you see carefully, in both high spin as well as low spin configurations, the configuration of T2G and EG orbitals are same. So here also we have T2G6, EG2. And there is no difference between the high spin filling of D8 electrons and the low spin filling of the D8 electrons in the T2G and EG orbitals. And the most important part is, you can see here that T2G is symmetrically filled. We have 3 orbitals, 6 electrons in high spin also, and in the low spin also we have 3 orbitals, 6 electrons for T2G. Now for EG we have 2 orbitals, 2 electrons in the high spin, and same for low spin, 2 orbital, 2 electrons. So EG is also symmetrically filled. And this kind of arrangement of electrons in the T2G and EG orbitals is known as the non-degenerate configuration. Non-degenerate configuration means when the electrons are symmetrically filled. Okay. That means even distribution of electrons in the T2G and EG orbitals. Now, since T2G and EG orbitals are symmetrically filled, we do not observe any Jahn-Teller effect for the D8 configuration in octahedral complexes. So, no Jahn-Teller effect for D8 configuration. Okay. And the filling of electrons is the same for high spin as well as low spin. So these are the two important points for D8 configuration, which is an exception in the octahedral complexes. Now, similarly, the D9 configuration. So D9 configuration, if you try to fill the 9 electrons in the high spin configuration, then what happens? High spin means singly occupied first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then pairing 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So we have T2G6 and EG3. Okay. For high spin. And then what happens for low spin? So low spin we will have pairing first in the T2G orbital. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then 7, 8 and 9. So you can very well observe that both the filling in the high spin as well as in the low spin, both these are similar, exactly same like we had for D8. So both in the high spin as well as the low spin, just like D8, the D9 filling, that is the filling of 9 electrons in the T2G and EG orbitals are same. Here also we have T2G6, EG3. And you can observe here that T2G is symmetrically filled, okay, but EG is unsymmetrically filled. You can see there are 2 orbitals in EG and there are 3 electrons. So this is unsymmetrical or uneven filling. And this uneven filling of EG orbital gives rise to a very strong Jahn-Teller distortion for D9 configuration in octahedral complexes. And when there is unsymmetrical filling in the T2G or EG orbitals, that kind of configuration is known as the degenerate configuration. So previously we saw for D8, when the electrons are symmetrically filled in T2G and EG orbitals, that is known as the non-degenerate configuration. While when there is asymmetry in the filling of electrons in the T2G or EG orbitals, we have a degenerate configuration, and this kind of configuration gives rise to Jahn-Teller effect. And this D9 configuration is also irrespective of the strength of the ligand, whether the ligands are weak filled or strong filled, that is the complexes are high spin or low spin. In both the conditions, they will give similar arrangement or filling of electrons in both T2G and EG orbitals. And that is why D9 is also a special case for octahedral complexes, which will always show strong Jahn-Teller distortion. So this additional information I am discussing because whenever you come across a D8 configuration or a D9 configuration, you have to understand that these are the special cases whereby the D8 configuration will never show Jahn-Teller effect for octahedral complexes irrespective of the strength of the ligand, and similarly D9 configuration will always show strong Jahn-Teller distortion irrespective of the strength of the ligands. And this you have to keep in your mind. So I hope you understood this explanation, and please like, share and subscribe if my videos are helpful to you, and please write in the comment section what you want to learn next in chemistry. Thank you so much.